So, makeup facelift, is it possible? Dominique Sachse says it is. I watched her do it to herself. Now I want to see if it'll work on me. So what I did was I took copious notes of her techniques, and I'm going to try them on myself, on my 61-year-old self, and see how it looks and how it feels and whether or not this look is going to be a keeper for me. So let's go ahead and break things down and see if this will work on me. And who knows, it may work on you too, or it may be a complete bomb. It's just makeup, it's fun, and we can wash it off if it doesn't look good. Later, she goes right into the eyebrows. Now, this is something that's very different than the way that I typically do my makeup. My eyebrows are usually a last resort. So she will use a balm. I don't have an eyebrow balm, but I do have this Anastasia clear gel, and it's used to kind of do the same thing as a balm. So she kind of did hair-like strokes in the front part of her eyebrow. And then she came along and did something a little bit different than I've ever done, and that is to sort of draw a line to lift the back end of the brow. And then she focused most of her attention to the back end of the brow to help give it a little bit of lift. The first thing she did was she used just a basic crease brush, and she dipped it into kind of more of the neutral color. And she started at the edge here and worked upward and made sure that the line for her shadow was at this outer edge. So I'm using the lighter shade. And you can already start to see that this is lifting right away. And I haven't even gone into the second step. Okay. So I've got another little brush here, and I'm gonna just do the outer edge, and I'm going to use a darker brown shade and come upward again and sort of wing it up. Now she took a little tiny bit of a light shade, and I'm using the lightest shade in this palette, and she just came right up into the brow at the outer edge, and just right at the brow she just put a little tiny bit of highlighter. Okay, so far so good. I think we're getting a really nice lift with this eye look. We're moving into the eyeliner portion of today's show. Now, she does something that I don't do, and it's called tightlining, and that's where you line like up under your lashes. Okay, I am back after struggling with the lashes. Now we're going to go ahead and use the concealer. Now, the beautiful thing about this whole concealer idea is that if you have any like mess going on with your under eye area, if you've got eyeshadow under there, if you had any problems along the way, this is absolutely a great way of fixing everything, and actually even going ahead and cleaning up and lifting even further the eye area. So we're going to go ahead and start with the bronzer and blush technique, and I've got a little bit of my favorite bronzer here. This is the Charlotte Tilbury, and this is something that I learned a few years ago, and I was happy to see Dominique talking about this, is that you actually start your contour for your face a little bit higher than you might have done as a younger woman. So instead of coming down here where I would have, like in alignment with my ear, in the middle of my ear, I'm coming a little bit higher, higher on the cheekbone. And then I will blend it upward. And the other thing is that you lift and you go diagonally up, which helps to lift and raise the cheek. I'm also going to go along the jawline. That is one of her tips, and she came up a little bit higher than I've done in the past. And then we're going to go ahead with the blush, and I'm also going to use the blush in the same kind of way. This is a very subtle blush. This is a Chanel blush. The lady at the Chanel counter, it recommended this color for me. And sometimes I think, wow, there's not much there to see, but it does have kind of a nice sheen to it. So we're going with that. A lot of times I use the Charlotte Tilbury Cheek to Chic, and I think it's the Ecstasy one, the Ecstatic or whatever, but we're doing this today. And again, I'm going very high on the cheek, and I'm also keeping the blush to the back part of the cheek and just sort of blending. Okay, we're coming into the home stretch, and that was the lips. And so this is where I think, because our lips are different, that I'm going to try to move toward the idea that she does, but I have to modify it because I actually have a very thin, kind of pointed lip, and it's quite thin and goes straight downward, and very straight. And then then we have kind of a deeper downturn here. I personally like to start with the lower lip and just even everything out with the liner first. And on my upper lip, I'm going to go with the V that's naturally there. And then I'm gonna slightly go outside of the lip line, because where she wants to sort of minimize her lip, I want to fill or expand mine. So there we go. This is the finished look. I think the color, her lip color, was a little bit lighter than the one that I'm wearing today. But I wanted to finish off with some thoughts about this look. Now, I did this look time before just to kind of run through it and see how I liked it, how it wore, and how I felt wearing it. And one of the things that I can tell you for sure is that I do love the lift that you get from this look. And I also love the kind of the brightness of the look. One of the things that I would do differently is that I would add a little bit more lightness to the movable lid on me. I guess maybe it's because that's what I'm sort of used to. But you can let me know in the comments below whether or not you think that this look is a better look than the one I usually have, or whether, what you think. I'm always open to ideas and suggestions. The other thing that I loved about this was the eyebrow tip of kind of helping to lift the brow, and maybe doing the brow first is a good way to start, because it sort of puts the framework of your face in place before you get too far down the road, because I usually do it the other way around. I usually do it at the end, because eyebrows for me are not like a big piece of my look. I don't think. Maybe it should be. And then the other thing that I loved about the tips was the idea of doing your concealer last. And so you get everything's nice and clean under your eyes, and you can actually help to improve the lift even further by bringing a little bit of that lightness and making sure that any blending or any kind of extra shadow out at the edges is taken care of and covered up. So those are amazing tips the cheek lifting. I would definitely encourage you to play with that a little bit and try using your bronzer slightly higher than you might have before, and see if you don't agree that that looks good. You can even fill and lighten this area here a little bit if you want to kind of really create some dimension for your face, and even maybe more lift. And the lips, as you know, I had to modify a little bit because the difference between her lip shape and my lip shape. And the one thing I probably wouldn't do is I probably wouldn't wear the false eyelashes. I really struggled to put them on. Maybe I should try the magnetic ones that she uses. But let me know what you think of this look and what things that you learned from watching me do it and what you might try yourself. See you next time.